Joining me is Australia's top foreign affairs writer, Greg Sheridan of the Australian newspaper. Greg, thank you for your time. What did you read into the May 9 commemoration in Moscow and Putin's speech there?
Well, Andrew, I think Putin is suffering intense international humiliation, and it's very difficult for him to pretend that this is all going well. They just haven't taken any significant territory that they want. They still don't have complete control of Mariupol. They still haven't completely established their land corridor to Crimea, much less broader territorial advantages. He can pretend that the casualty rate is not so high, but thousands upon thousands of Russian families have lost their sons or brothers or husbands or fathers killed in the war. The performance of the Russian military has been woeful. They massively overweigh Ukraine. It's very much like the Soviet Union's war against Poland in 1920, which Poland won handsomely. Now, having said all that, Putin is a dangerous beast because he is deeply wounded. But it's good that the rhetoric, while unreal, was not more extravagant. Now, we cannot know what calculation he's making, whether he's looking for a way to pull out, whether he just needs a bit more territory and he can declare victory and go home. I mean, he can keep firing artillery for a long time into the future, and he can keep inflicting suffering on his people. But he is a much weaker figure now than he was 6 months ago.
Absolutely, and the might of the Russian army now looks like the butt of jokes for decades to come. The Queen has cancelled giving her traditional appearance to Parliament, the traditional Queen's speech, for the first time in nearly 60 years. She has mobility problems. The speech to outline the government's plans will instead be given by Prince Charles. Greg, I'm afraid we are fast reaching that moment where we move to King Charles, and I don't feel confident.
No, Andrew, I must say this is a moment in history, I think, and I'd give you this context. For the first time ever, Sinn Féin, the most extreme of the nationalist parties, has won a Northern Irish election. So Northern Ireland now is about to form a government which will be led by a party which wants to break Northern Ireland away from the United Kingdom and reunify with the Republic of Ireland. In the recent council elections, the Scottish National Party continued to gain even more votes in Scotland. So another of the constituent nations of Great Britain is led by a party, in fact totally dominated by a party, which wants to break away from Britain. Boris Johnson is probably weaker than he's ever been as a Prime Minister, and there will be, I suspect, a renewed battle for the integrity of the United Kingdom. Now, the most unifying symbol in the United Kingdom is the Queen, who is universally respected and universally admired. That is not remotely true of Prince Charles. And I do think that a King Charles, although, you know, we hope that the Queen still has years of life ahead of her, and there would be a massive outpouring of affection for her if she does, if she does die in the next little period. But I don't think a King Charles will be remotely as powerful a unifying symbol as Queen Elizabeth has been.
You make some really excellent points there, Greg. I'm glad you brought up that Sinn Féin win. That is quite scary. To our election, Greg, you don't seem impressed at all by this SEINFELD election about nothing, or as Shakespeare probably put it for us very well, all sound and fury signifying nothing.
No, I think this has been a pathetic election, Andrew, and the major parties only have themselves to blame if the minor parties increase their votes. I mean, some of our friends think I've been a bit tough on the government. I'm no great fan of the Labor Party, believe me, but it's the government which has been in office for nearly a decade, and I couldn't agree more with your earlier editorial. What has the Morrison government fought for in its life? On these culture wars issues, Morrison never goes near them for 3 years, and then 1 minute before the election he unveils a religious freedom bill in a way that obviously it cannot possibly pass before the election, and then he does a little song and dance of it around the election as though we are meant to pin a medal on his chest for his bravery. The Morrison government has run away from every fight. They're not contesting anything about climate change at all. Even if you accept that we've got to reduce our emissions, they won't argue about the cost of Labor's policies and so forth. They will say nothing about the structural deficit we've built into the budget. They'll say nothing about our ongoing decline in education standards. And in the end, finally, you say, well, apart from not being the Labor Party, what are they for?
Greg, you put it so well. I mean, this is what drives me crazy. I mean, how on global warming can you win an argument where you say, you're quite right, global warming is a terrible catastrophe, we're just going to be more, we're going to be slower in doing something about it than the other side. You're going to lose. You've got to lose. It's just terrible. Greg Sheridan, thank you so much for your time.